Welcome to All Things Savannah, our weekly deep dive into the people and history, stories, and inside information of the hostess city, Savannah, Georgia. I'm Frank Morrow, along with Danielle Oak.
Yes.
We are with Jonathan Murphy today. He is the interim organist and choirmaster at St. John's Episcopal Church in Savannah, but he is so many more things and has an amazing resume. I say that so often, but it's true with about our guests. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Jonathan Murphy is active as a tenor, pianist, and conductor, and he currently holds the position as lecturer of opera and collaborative piano. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
At Georgia Southern University, his undergraduate alma mater. So my first question is, what is collaborative piano?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
So, when you think about pianists, you often think about the solo pianist who perform concerts by themselves. So, collaborative piano is either a pianist who works with maybe a chamber group. So maybe there's a piano trio. They may work with a cellist and violinist, or they may work as just with a solo instrument. So they just play along. My particular field is with singers. So I collaborate with singers in recitals. And along with that can be a coach. So I began my musical career as a pianist, and then in college I became a voice major, and then discovered that I like putting those things together. And so I get to work with singers at the piano and coach them on languages and musical style, and sometimes some technical work too. But so.
Okay, so
Yeah.
collaborative means
Yes.
exactly what.
Yeah.
All right, I just didn't know if you meant like two pianists together or four sets of hands.
Excellent question. Really good question. So you're involved in teamwork, basically. What
Always.
it comes right down to, right?
Always, yeah.
How does that differ from being the only person performing? I mean, you have to take into consideration a lot, I would think.
In some ways it's less responsibility, but really in more ways it's more responsibility, because you have to be very aware of what's going on. If you're a conductor, you have to be aware and responsible for what others are doing. If I'm playing for a singer, I have to be aware, and I have to be responsible for adapting to what they're doing. I have to anticipate, they're about to skip a beat, so I need to be right with them so no one knows what's happening.
Right.
Or maybe they're going to do things differently because they're in the moment they decide they're going to take more time here, and so I have to be very intuitive, very aware,
And flexible.
And flexible, yes. And my musical philosophy is that perfection is boring. And I almost always listen to live recordings and not studio recordings that are whitewashed. I like the raw,
pure.
the raw and pure, the real thing.
The pops, the zings,
Yeah.
the clusters that come up.
The tenor cracking, and and then soprano getting lost, and all that. All that's part of it too, So,
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. You
Yeah.
were born in Vidalia, Georgia, so you're a
Well,
Georgia boy.
I have to tell you,
Okay.
the regional correct pronunciation, Vidalia.
Vidalia.
Yes. It's
Love it.
true.
Yes,
Yes.
so-
Vidalia.
I'm such a northerner, that's just music to my ears. Okay.
Yes.
Vidalia.
And we know that's where all the onions come from.
Right.
Yes.
Vidalia, onions.
Yes,
How we
we-
say it in Pittsburgh.
Yes. But yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We just passed the. Last month is the May is the month of the festival, the Sweet Onion Festival.
That is everything, right?
That is
That is
everything.
like
Yes.
the big deal.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And known worldwide, really.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Did you go back for it?
I don't go back for it. No. Too many people. Too many people.
You've had enough, I'm
Yes.
sure.
Can be that's understandable.
Yes.
Right?
So did you? So where did you go from Vidalia?
I went to when I auditioned for lots of schools for undergrad, but I ended up going close to home to Georgia Southern in Statesboro, which is just a 45-minute drive,
Okay.
and it was the right choice
Yeah.
for me, and I grew a lot there, and then from there I went straight to grad school at University of Tennessee in Knoxville. I took a year off and worked at a church there and then went to get my doctorate at University of Oklahoma in Norman, which is outside Oklahoma City. So
Okay.
yeah, so
So that is, you've traveled, and in those travels, post-college now, I guess, you got into the opera world. Is that right? Is that around
well,
that?
that's kind of what I got in. That's kind of what I went to school for.
Ah,
So I was a pianist, as a high schooler, and before that I was a pianist. And my schools then didn't have a choral program, so I never sang at all.
Really?
Yeah, I was on debate team, and we were coming back from a debate meet, and we were just goofing around, and I sang Danny Boy, and the sponsor for the debate team was like, you should take voice lessons. So this is my junior year of high school. So I began voice lessons, and they sent me off to literary competition, and I won those 2 years, and I fell in love with it. So lots of singers are in choirs first, and that's their first love.
Okay.
But mine was the classical solo vocal opera world. And I just fell in love with
That's
it
reaching high.
immediately. Yeah. So
That's so neat.
yeah.
I was lucky enough to see you perform in Messiah, selections from the
Oh,
Messiah,
right. Yeah. Right.
this last Christmas, and it was a joy to hear you sing.
Oh,
It
thanks.
was absolutely wonderful.
Thanks.
and so many large city operas that you were involved in. The Met, we know, Dallas, San Francisco, San Diego, Santa Fe, among others. So you have been in situations. It's interesting to see folks who come to maybe a smaller venue after having been in some larger, maybe more intense places, like these big cities. What does that feel like when you're going from a small place where you were born to a large venue like New York, and then you're coming back eventually here? How does that road look?
Well, my involvement with those was often these singers who would sing like at the Met or Dallas. They would come to where I was, so I didn't go there a lot. I mean, I have, but the stakes were very high though. I think coming back to this place is much more comfortable,
Yeah.
and I get to do a lot more varied things here than I was very focused on a couple of areas at that time. But it was definitely a lot more high pressure.
You don't pine for that, though.
I don't. And that's really why I shifted in grad school. I realized I don't want to be the big star on the stage. That's not who I am. That's not what I enjoy the most. I enjoy helping other people get there. But I will do it. I will do it once in a while. But
Yeah.
I don't want to do this all the time. This is
Okay,
not
yeah.
me. So
Well, that's
just-
a whole different career. I
Right.
mean,
That's
solo work.
that's
and,
that's the key to the collaborative thing to me is that.
And that's
So,
where the joy
yeah.
comes from, I would think. A lot of joy
Yes,
comes from that collaboration.
definitely.
Helping
and
other
see
people.
and working with people behind the scenes, and then seeing I saw when I watched I don't remember what year that was, when the Met did the ring cycle that they did the broadcast of. I'm like, oh, I took a part in that. I helped him with that, So that was,
You can look back on that,
Yes,
certainly,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So you did
for
it.
sure, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
exactly. You are watching All Things Savannah. We're coming to you from the Twin Spades Lounge at the Bluff Hotel, 630 West Bay Street, Historic District, downtown Savannah. Daniel Oak, Frank Morrow. We are along with Jonathan Murphy today. Jonathan is the interim organist and choirmaster at St. John's Episcopal Church in Savannah. You can go see him on Sundays, I'm sure. We had this wonderful opportunity that Danielle has alluded to about being in the location where you actually do your work with that organ. Just for full disclosure, I've said this before, I'm learning to play the piano. It's taken me some time. I'm crawling before I can do anything else.
Yes.
But you have a whole new respect when you look at that organ and you see the number of pedals and you see how elaborate the entire setup is of anybody who can actually play that. So I just have to give kudos to you right there. It seems so intimidating. how does one do this? I mean, can you explain to people how you actually understand it all and take your musical knowledge and apply it?
It takes a lot of time, and every organ is different. And so this one, I've been at St. John's since last September, and I just now feel like I'm getting to know this organ, and it's getting to know me, and we're getting along finally. They can be temperamental too, but I mean there are thousands of different sound combinations you can make, and the St. John's has four manuals besides the pedal board, and so they're just endless possibilities, and so it takes a long time to explore that,
Right.
and get to know what works, what doesn't work, and especially St. John's when there are pipes in the front, pipes in the back.
They have both front and
They
back?
do, yes,
Okay.
yes. I believe the pipes in the front, in the chancel, were largely the original pipes before the renovation, and then the bulk of the pipes are in the back. Those are the ones that make the real noise.
Okay.
So when I accompany the choir, or my assistant Angela accompanies the choir, we use mostly the back pipes because they're there with the choir. But congregational stuff, we use the back ones with.
Does there have to
the
be somebody
shirts.
up at the back to do anything with those pipes, or that's just automatic?
No,
It's all built in.
It's all built in. All electric action, computerized connections.
Really?
So,
Wow, I didn't know.
Yeah.
See, all the stuff I don't know about organs.
What-
And church organs.
Once in a while, we'll get a rattling of some pipe, and
Uh-huh.
Angela's small, so she goes and play it, and she
Investigates.
finds what's happened, moves something around, So it's
Well, I know sometimes too. There's vibrations. They're coming from some part of the building. I noticed that last Sunday, actually, on one of the super low notes. Something I was at the very last pew, so I noticed something above my head was sort of shaking, rattling.
right. Yes. Yeah. So sometimes we have to make adjustments. There are
Yeah.
things in the way.
How many keys to the keyboard? Not that you have to give me exact numbers. a standard piano.
It's standing
88, right?
88, and this manuals are they're about the same. I think I haven't
Okay.
checked it out, but I think they're close to the same. There are fewer bass notes just because of the size of the pedal board.
Yeah.
So when you go to some place like Radio City Music Hall, I was always, when I was a kid, I was so amazed at what the organs there looked like. I think they had
Oh yeah.
two of them, didn't they? As I recall,
Yeah,
right? One on either
the
side.
theater organs. Yeah.
They were they seemed immense. They seemed whimsical, and I know that's what the intent was. Do you go to places and really check out the organs?
Oh yes.
Do you?
Oh yes. Yes.
What are your favorite ones? Are there places like you still want to go to?
Well, the cathedral where I do a good bit of work too, St. John's Basilica, has a great organ that Paul has done a lot of work with and renovating since he's been there. And that's a really nice organ in town. First Presbyterian has a great organ too.
All here.
These are all
places
here. Yeah.
Any place that might be larger
I think-
venue? I mean, St. John's Basilica is pretty large, but
Yeah.
like St. Patrick's in New York, I don't know what they have.
Oh yeah. Oh, and St. Thomas in New York too they actually have two organs. They have one in the back,
Wow.
more Baroque instrument,
Ooh.
and then the one in the front they use for
Every day.
for
Every
for
Sunday. I mean.
congregational singing and
Uh-huh.
the choral singing. So yeah.
Yeah. So have you done any solo work on organs, like strictly organ pieces, recitals, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I have, and I have to do at least a little bit every Sunday at the
Yes.
at the end,
Right,
at the
right.
end. Yeah, I mean it's not a solo organ isn't my primary thing, but it's I it's part of my job and part of what I do. So yeah, I love Herbert Howells is one of my favorite composers, and he tends to write long pieces. So
Yeah.
whenever I have the chance to do those in service, I do. But yeah,
Do you have an organ at home?
I don't.
Really?
I don't. I have a piano, but it's in storage. So because I'm kind of between
Well, you're always. I guess you're close
Yes.
to pianos. If you need
Yeah,
one.
right. Yes, right. Yes. Yeah.
They can't be too far
Right.
away, right?
Yeah.
So, how does someone get into your position in music with all of the elements to it? So we know that voice training mattered. We know that you were into opera. I mean, these are a lot of things that have all come together, and they make a complete package of a career. Does someone at 18 know that? Do they know that that's what they want? I mean, most of us don't know anything at 18.
I don't think. I don't think so.
Speaking for myself.
Yes. No, I don't think so. When I was 18, I thought I'm going to be an opera singer, and I'm going to be lauded and applauded, and I'll love this, and and then I realized it's really not such a glamorous life.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right. It's what we think.
Yes.
we
I remember
want.
watching if you watched Downton Abbey when it came out, and they had Kira Takanoa played an opera singer on the show, and she came to sing, and there was a big deal because they were going to allow her to stay in one of the guest rooms and not with the servants. I'm like, this is the life of musicians. Yes, yeah,
Well, like so many other professions, that are the sort of entertainment in quotations.
Right.
It isn't what it's all cracked up to be,
Right.
really.
Yeah.
Truth is, there's a lot of road time. There's a lot of practice. There's a lot of not fun things. For that moment, whenever that moment is, that you shine.
right,
Right.
right. Yeah.
Do you still get you get a rush when you perform? Does it really?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I do. And it depends on the repertoire too. But yeah, I definitely do. Even just a couple of Sundays ago, we had a big choral matins service, which means the choir basically sings almost the entire service. A third of the way through the service, we'd already sung about 20 minutes of music. But at the end, we were doing the Herbert Howell's Te Deum, and we're getting to the end of this, and like, just the adrenaline and just the emotion. I'm glad I'm not singing this right now, because I might be crying.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know.
That tells you
Yeah.
it really has
Yeah.
touched you.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Wow, it's remarkable. That's
Yeah.
what it's all about, I think.
Well, so coming from a church perspective, spending plenty of Sundays in church, listening to all kinds of music, I think a lot of, some people may be able to identify with this too. The whole idea of what you do as both ministry and performance, it's not just one thing, right?
Right, absolutely, yeah.
So
It's ministry, it's worship, and performance at the same time. And I have to be, I think I have to be really aware of how the congregation perceives it, because if it's not hitting them in the right way, then I need to change my tactics, because
right.
if it's all about, bringing the word in the liturgy to a new level. And
Right.
so if I do a piece and they're like, oh, that was okay, I'm like, oh, maybe I won't do that one again, So,
There's direction coming
right, yeah, it's not,
from the
you
masses.
can't have too much ego, just because I like it doesn't mean that it will do the job, it
Good
needs to
point.
do, so.
Yeah, it is
Right.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
clientele, I guess, right?
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You are watching All Things Savannah. We are coming to you from the Twin Spades Lounge, Bluff Hotel, 630 West Bay Street, Historic District, downtown Savannah. Jonathan Murphy is with us. He is the interim organist and choirmaster at St. John's Episcopal Church in Savannah. Music brings people together. Are a lot of people coming together these days over music? Is it the kind of uniting force that it's always been?
I think so. I was telling a friend of mine that at least 30% of my job now is social. Is talking to people and lunches with people and coffee with folks, and then we come together for rehearsals. I sing a lot at the cathedral too. I'm good friends with Paul there, and so whenever it's a non-Sunday and I have a chance, I'm over there singing. So, yeah, I think it's the perfect way to bring people together, because a lot of the division that we encounter in day-to-day life is just it's gone.
Wow.
That's a wonderful thing.
So yeah.
How do you fit in time to teach? I don't know how your life plays out week to week.
this past semester's been quite a lot. It's been a lot between the driving and the teaching and the work of the church. It's been a lot. So I'm stepping back my duties next year. I'm doing less. I'm just doing some piano coaching and playing next year at the university.
Okay.
Because I can't maintain all this together.
Right.
So yes, but
Oh gosh.
but it's I'm there are a lot of Georgetown students now in the choir at St. John's, which has been a great partnership. It's been great for the students. It's been great for the choir, especially the volunteers. They love each other. So, but so the teaching just continues
Right.
through the rehearsals.
But once you're a teacher, you're really never not a teacher.
No.
Good
So-
point. We often ask people, and we have to do this every show because this is what we do. What do you love about Savannah? What attracts you to this place? What do you find interesting about it?
I've always found Savannah just enchanting. I'm a huge student of history, amateur student of history, and it's what I missed most about living further out west. When I was in Oklahoma, I really missed places like Savannah that were so imbued with history. It's almost like a drug to me. Going into a home that's been there for 150, 200 years, you can just feel the depth of, I don't know, the past there, and that's really a big deal to me. So being back in Savannah has meant a lot to me. St. John's is that way. The church, the Green Meldrum House is that way. But just every day that I go walking through the historic district, I mean, it's just as powerful to me as it was the first time I did it.
Yeah.
I think we can identify with that.
The sense of wonder and
Yeah.
I get to live here.
Yeah.
I get to work here. This is my
Yes.
town.
Yes.
Sort of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah. Place, sense of place, as we've said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today. You're
Yes.
busy. We know that we've pulled you off your routine here for a little bit, but maybe it's a good thing to get you out of the, get away from the organ for a couple minutes.
Absolutely.
And talk to us and share with our audience, what you find special. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
If people want to come hear you sing or play, they can find you at St. John's Episcopal Church, which is in Madison Square downtown. But where else can they find you?
Like I said, I sing a good bit with the Cathedral Choir. So I sing there twice in the last couple of weeks. I have some performances coming up, but I can't think of when they are. I'm kind of in summer mode, but
Okay.
but there are things planned for next year.
Okay.
But I'll send you a list. So
Well, that's good. We can
Yeah.
put it in the
We'll add it to the
description.
description
Yeah.
box.
Yeah, that'd be terrific.
yeah,
Yeah. Thank you so much.
yes,
Nice to meet you, too.
nice to meet you guys.
Thank you to the tech team today. Talia Bonilla is here, Maria Oliver, and Riley Sandifor for making our show sound as good as it possibly can be and look as good as it can be. Thank you so much. Today's show is sponsored by Media MO and Historic Solutions Consulting. And next week, we will take another deep dive into all of the things that we love so much about the hostess city, Savannah, Georgia. Hope you join us for that.
Thanks so much.